This is what I got going on. It's our slide out, and the floor is kind of rotten on the bottom, especially on this side over here. And that discoloration there, I'm not sure what that is, but it's not not due to the. I don't think it's due to the rot. Maybe it is. Maybe they replaced this carpeting, or I knew it was rotten at the time. I don't know. Coach is 12 years old, so not, or 13 years old. It's so hey, don't know what the history is. But I got to pull the bottom out of the slide. I got to retract that, take my wires off and stuff, and then so I can work on this over here. And over here, and I'm sorry I don't have the light on, but the roller is in here. That there's two rollers on either side of the slide. Well, the floor underneath the roller is rotten, and the floor, because it's rotten, has allowed this slide to drop. When this slide dropped, it's created problems on the outside, and I've got damage on the outside of the coach on the fiberglass. So one thing led to another, but there's no moisture anywhere that I could find. But of course, this has been inside for a while now. But I got that to address also, to find out where the leak is, and so I can monitor it. But in the meantime, my next project is to support this slide from the outside. I saw a video on YouTube how to do that. Support the slide and then pull this bottom out of it. So got a full evening's worth of work if I can get it all done tonight. Alright, back inside again. This is the outside of my slide out, and this is the problem I've had. This is the bedroom slide on the 2003 Newmar Dutch Star 4005 with a king size bed. The outside has been popped loose. A crack has formed in the laminate because the slide here, when it in, was resting on this, and when it pulled out, it actually pulled this away from the camper. When it pulled that away from the camper, it damaged and cracked the Luon, or the Phylon on both sides. Both sides are cracked. Front's not so bad. Back is. The repair for this, well, someone attempted a repair once before by putting spacers underneath the slide, because it is kind of rotten. The wood here is rotten. They put spacers under the slide to kick it up on the roller. Well, that doesn't work, because the roller is actually, the wood under the roller is what's rotten, and the roller is dropped. And when the roller dropped, no amount of spacers you can put in there is going to take up for that damage, that damaged wood. So I've got to remove the bottom of the slide out, which entails moving a bunch of screws, and remove a whole lot of screws, and then supporting the slide out with lumber. And I'll extend the lumber from the up here somewhere all the way down to the ground, and replace these screws through the lumber with very long screws to carry the weight of the slide out. And then when that's done, I can then remove the slide out, remove the base out of the slide out, because actually the base of the slide out is what supports the slide. It's the floor of the slide out supports the slide. So time to start removing screws. Okay, here's the next step, first step I've taken, and it looks like the floor is held on with horizontal screws through here, through the sides, through the back. This channel that goes across the whole entire back has screws that go into the bottom. This is flush with the bottom, and all these screws are rusted through, or rusted away, so they were non-existent. My next thing to do is to go inside. I shoved my putty knife up through here. I'm going to look on the inside to see how much of that putty knife I can see on the inside of the coach. Another thing Newmar does on the back of this slide, whether you can see it, there's an L channel that goes down and goes here to keep this true with the piece that goes across the bottom. It's a really good idea to keep that true. But as you see, I got screws here. I may have to actually drill those, or probably rust it so badly I can just push them through. And my slide is not all the way out yet, so I need to do that also. But for now, we'll go inside to see if I can see this poked up from the inside. Well, there's my test, and although I shoved that putty knife up through there, it could be behind the, and likely is, behind the wall here. Well, it's going to be because of the laminate on the outside. That didn't take a whole lot of brains to figure that out. Anyway, this is the floor, the rotten spot in the corner. I got to take this slide and let it go all the way out, and then probably clear this carpet off of it. I have to take these bolts out, support it on the outside, and then hopefully the floor will come out without much trouble. Back again, and in here I pulled down this runner that someone had put in place, and if you look in the corner, there ain't a whole lot left. You see there's a screw there, and unfortunately it's going down as opposed to going up. That's a bad sign, because it looks like I'm going to have to, I don't know how I'm going to fix that. Maybe those screws, maybe this aluminum plate will go back up, I don't know. But there's the bedroom, corner, and I got to go in, I got to pull the slide in a little bit so I can get some more screws out, so I can remove this here, so I can access the screws. I got to do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to jack this thing up a little bit, the slide out, and support it on boards. And maybe the rest of this floor will come out. I hope. Now, this is the last video of this night. I'm tired. Anyway, this is my issue. It's where the water got in, and it rotted away basically the whole corner, and left the this here was rotted down in that hole. I mean, not falling in the hole in the rotten wood. Wood here's fine, but over in there it's not well. Obviously there was a bad leak over in here once upon a time. A lot of water got in there and got trapped and caused things to rot. So, but I also noticed that this is just a piece of 1/2-inch plywood across here. And that's all it's supporting that weight, which is slightly, it's fairly heavy. I would think it would be supported right below that roller with a piece of 2x to some structure underneath, and not bridged, you know, that probably 6-8 inches there. So that's where it's going to go back. I'll bridge that with a blocking on each, you know, where the two edges or the two brackets that hold either side of the roller. I'll put solid lumber like this on both sides, so that it'll go down to the underfloor or subfloor, and I'll probably get steel, whatever the coach is made of, enough that or aluminum. But I got it all out. It's a lot of fun. One thing I recommend though is to remove these bolts. Now, these bolts are removed all the way. The bolts from back here, these bolts from back here, remove those before you ever, while you can, because once you get the board in the position that's there, those bolts are right in the freaking way. It's in a bad spot. I had a heck of a time getting those bolts loose. So that's what it looks like right now. The bottom's out. It's a doubled up piece of 1/2-inch plywood. Laminate it together. I'm going to see if I can't get a piece of plywood that thick. I think I can. I think it's available. So I don't have to laminate two pieces of 1/2-inch to make that. You can see it out there underneath the slide out. Solid right now is supported by that bracket there, and of course the bracket on the outside. This one here is shimmed underneath of there, and that's carrying the weight, carrying it up. I got to work on that too, because to get the And I got to get the proper height because I don't think it was ever well, it's been jacked up ever since I got it, so I've got to fix that. Anyway, this is the video I'm putting together right now. I'm showing this part. Next video, hopefully I'll show some new lumber going in, or maybe this apart, and see what's inside that trough. I think there's wiring in that trough, actually. I think it's actually a wire trough, so I may not be able to put a blocking in there, but I'll find out tomorrow when I tear it apart. In case you're wondering, this is how I support the slide out on the outside. I got a 2x4 installed here, and you can see the damage to the outside of my coach because of where the slide out had dropped and popped the vinyl or the file line. But I took a piece of angle iron or angled aluminum and put it in there. I got 3 screws, and then I got that screwed to the 2x4, which goes to the ground. And I didn't have a 2x4 to the other side, but I did have a couple of 5 1/4 rounds decking boards. So I took the decking boards and did basically the same thing. I screwed them together, laminated them together, and took a piece of aluminum and made a piece of channel. And I got the channel inside there, at least 3 screws holding that up. So that's supporting the outside of the slide out right now. Another thing of note is underneath the slide out, the plywood floor is secured from above. The wall is made of aluminum, but you see all the screws extending down. They were originally threaded down through the aluminum to the floor. Now, interesting is the new floor I'm putting in. Of course, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be screwing up as opposed to down and into the aluminum, but that is basically to keep it from racking, because the weight of the slide out is actually on the plywood, so I don't see that as being a problem. And of course, I'll take the file on and screw that to the outside edge, that'll thread in, and then put all the trim back. So that's what's. You may be wondering where I put all this stuff, because everything is, other than that one piece of plywood, it's all inside the camper yet. So when I disassembled the bed, that's the platform for the bed. It's kind of jammed up against the ceiling. I don't think it won't damage the ceiling. And then from there, I got just the cabinets on either side for the side of the bed are laying there. A piece of wood I had to use to brace yesterday. There's my bracing force to the inside, holding the slide out up from the inside, because it would drop a little bit if they were not there. And but that's everything that's on the inside. Of course, turn around and look down the rest of the coach, and you'll see the base of the bed's laying here. I was able to drag it down the hall. It's a king-size bed base. The mattress and the comforter that kind of goes on top of the mattress. So it's all still yet inside the camper, inside the motorhome. And just a matter of hopefully getting a piece of plywood today, and we're fixing this trough. It goes down through there. Probably going to put that back with pressure treated lumber, because I got some 5 1/4 round. I think will work fine for that. If not, I'll do something different, but put something a little bit sturdier than what was there previously. And then I'll have to really monitor for leaks, but I think I know where the leak was coming from, and I repaired that right after I got the camper. Okie dokie. Next video in a bit. Okay, I've got the top plate off and the back plate off, which was just a 1/2 inch plywood. So now I've taken this loose. This is held down with screws. This is basically, it was sandwiched with a second. I got rod over here on this side too. Screw over here. Anyway, it was sandwiched 1/2 inch plywood, rod on both corners. So I'll definitely use pressure treat it when I go back, just to prevent some of the rot anyway, in case it leaks again. But I just want to show that it's sandwiched. So you have this piece here, and then the gasket went in here, and then the other piece of plywood came and ended up against this, and it was screwed down. or nailed like crazy. So that's the status of that. There's the piece of wood I removed. As you can see, it was clean all the way down, except for where the rot was. And this is on the good side. Anyway, just some of the assembly. And this is flooring. This is the floor, of course, and insulation. And this is the aluminum channel that basically makes up the coach. And this piece of wood's completely gone, all the way over to the wall. So I've vacuumed out most of it. So I'm going to replace all that with boards of the same dimension. I'll cut this square all the way back. Seems like there's a joint right here, a seam in here. Clean that up and put in new lumber in that place, so that we'll at least have something, a solid structure to set on. I don't know what rests on what back here, though. I'm kind of concerned because I don't know where the next horizontal support is. I know if you reach underneath here, you can feel rubber, so, or a vinyl that this is sitting on. So it may be sitting on something on top. I don't know. I'm not going to pull that away just to find out, though. I think I can splice in a piece of pressure treated lumber or something in here that I have on hand, and to patch this up at the same dimensions. I still got more to do. I got more vacuuming to do. And here's a plug for one of these vacuum cleaners. These little Electrolux. Get them on Amazon. Great little vacuum cleaner. Sucks up all kinds of stuff. So great vacuum, not too horribly noisy, and it's small enough to put in your coach. We keep it in this one. Of course, I like to change the bag after this one. All right, enough for now. Quite a bit more work ahead of me before I go get parts. Okay, here's the update. This is my crack on the outside. I found out that somebody probably used expandable foam or something, maybe Gorilla Glue behind that once upon a time. I had a heck of a time clearing all that crap out. Of course, the wood laminate that's on the back of the file line here is rotted away, but I cleaned most of that out, and on the inside, pushed it down. Maybe note too, there's nothing holding this slide out up until I show you what's on the inside. I think I've already showed that before. I got that 2x4 right there screwed to the floor. Comes up and it's underneath that trim. Now that's not just a piece of trim, it's got aluminum behind it, so it's very strong. So that's holding this slide out from sliding down. And let me back up because I think I'm moving the phone around more than talking with my hands. As you can see, this is where the wood was rotten, and it extends all the way out to the file line. I'm still pulling little chunks of it out, the file line, or the wood that used the laminate. So I'm going to clean all that out and finish cleaning all that out so it's clear. I've actually got down into here, into this crack, and I've cleaned out the Gorilla Glue or the expanding foam. The only issue I got right now is I got a couple screws that go down through that were securing the let's see, that's the floor, and that's my gap in there. You see where that's where the crack is on the outside. Anyway, I got to get a couple screws out. I got to grind them out. You can see one back in that corner, and they're hardened screws. They're a bear to get out, and but I got to make sure I clear all that out. Clean the back side of this file line real well, so I can get good adhesion with some adhesive when I go to put this back together. Camper doesn't warrant, I mean, it looks really good, so there's no sense in repainting the whole thing. And Newmar actually had a problem with some of this telegraphing the fibers through. Mine's not too bad. It's got a few spots, but not real bad. especially in the lighter areas, it's good. So I'll probably go back and order the paint and try to fill this best I can, but I got to get it to attach to a substrate. It can't just flop around. So I got some ideas on how I'm going to do that. But for right now, this is my rotten spot, and I plan on not putting back the foam. I thought about it first. This would fit in there. This is what come out, but I think I'm going to put it all back with lumber. Basically, fill out a good big lumber cavity here. And the reason behind it, because this is sitting over top of aluminum, and I guess the structure is right here, but no, and the structure is here. But if I fill it up full of wood, it's not going to add that much weight, and the insulation value of this little spot's not going to matter a whole lot. And I'll feel better about having a good solid surface in here to mess with and for in the future. So I believe I know it's done. As far as I know, is right. It'd probably factory do a better job, I'm sure, but that's my plan. And this is one of those precarious things I got, is that piece of that piece 2x4 holding that up, which I'm hoping that shouldn't have a problem with that. It hadn't hit so far. I guess I could put a brace here, or something in case it were to try to drop, or maybe on the outside. And the floor is 1 inch thick, so I've got to go through and pick my grinder and find all these screws and grind them off. So when I put the floor back up, I'll screw up from the bottom. So, alrighty, that's a latest update on my slide out issues. Go around this side here. And that's what it looks like on that side. I haven't had to do anything over there. I think it's in pretty good shape. I think it's a little bit of wood rot, but nowhere near what it is on this side. Tough part is cleaning all the substrate off of the back of that rotten substrate off the back of the pylon, or the outside fiberglass on the outside of the coach, to make sure that I can get some good adhesion when I put it back. And I got a feeling that somebody was in here and try to mitigate this before, because this here isn't stock. And when they had that carpet replaced, somebody got in here and basically just tried to encapsulate everything to keep the rot. So maybe they found the leak then and repaired it. I don't know. But obviously it didn't fix the damage, which caused the collapse of the roller. When the roller collapsed down in this rot, it caused my slide out to drop, and basically within the past year it popped that loose there. So it kind of sucks, but alright, it's all something I got to deal with. Okay, this is the latest progress as I'm moving along. You see all those screws? They're just there to hold the laminate together. I had some laminate left over from another project, just what you'd put on a wall or whatever, bathroom, tabletop. So I took it, sanded the back side of it real well, and sanded the back of the wall pylon or whatever it is real well, and then I used some floor adhesive, which is sticky as all get out, and I packed it up in there best I could with the putty knife on both sides. Made sure I got a good coat on this, on the wall, because it's tough because you're working, pulling it back. Then I coated my piece that I slid in there, and I extended it beyond a bit. I was able to do that because some of course the wood was rotting on the backside. And all this behind us is solid aluminum. On the underneath, the channel of the coach is aluminum, so there's plenty of places to get a bite with a screw. So I pre-drilled the holes and used not self-tappers, but sheet metal screws, and I pulled it all up flush. And I can tell you that it was very difficult before, because there was always a hump in there, I think due to the expanding foam or Gorilla Glue. I don't know what the crap it was, but it looked bad. So when all this dries up and I get the slide finished and all that, I can go back, pull those screws out. Hopefully it won't pop back out. I don't think it will. I think it'll be there. And then go in there and grind that spot out sand it and mask it off and paint it. And like I said, this is not a showroom vehicle, so if I got a few lines on it where I've did clear coat in a different spot, I think I'll survive. So now progress is got to move on to this to cut some lumber and stick in here to fill this void up, build it back up so I can build my box to house the 2 rollers, and then I can move on. And you notice I'm not putting, I can't put the floor in to the slide out until I get all this done and get my rollers in place. So this has been a pretty good project today and last evening. It's probably a 2.5-day project for somebody that doesn't know what the heck they're doing, like me.